Okay, hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are at week 6. Yep, week 6. Holy cow. Week 6 of attraction equation, which means we are over halfway done, which is crazy. And next week, okay, so a few housekeeping items before I jump in. Hello, everyone. Next week, we have a guest speaker. My friend Laura King from Wild Cabin Studio is going to be talking to us about branding. So some of what I'm going to talk about today when it comes to Canva, she will probably maybe cover a little bit. But what I need to know is if you have any specific questions about branding, and branding is not just the colors, the elements, the fonts, but also like, how do I make my brand, like my business stand out? Send those questions to me, because she is going to specifically put together a presentation that speaks to any question. I mean, she'll put together her presentation either way, but she asked me to ask all of you for feedback. So if you're like, how do I make my brand stand out? If you have specific questions in that regard, send them to me. You can throw them in the chat, whatever works, so that I can pass them along to her. As you are looking back through the trainings and the recordings and any of the workbooks, please remember that there's no due date on any of the homework. The homework is there to give you action items so you can start to implement what we talk about. So you can go back and implement them and send me your homework at any time. So there's no like end to that. So if you're like, oh, I missed the last 3 weeks live and I'm catching up on the recordings, that's fine. Send me those prompts, that homework, ask questions, email me with all of that whenever you are catching up. So I know it's summer, so I know how that goes. I took a course to grow my business as well last summer, and that was what I ended up having to do. Like, oh, I want to implement all this stuff, but I don't have to anyway. So then I took some time in the fall to really dive back into it and follow up with my coach. Okay. So today, well, actually, since we have 3 people on, because we've been kind of waffling with, because it's summer, everyone's schedules have been different, but I would love, let's take a minute. I'm going to get my notebook here. I would love for everyone to kind of give us an update on any wins or challenges. Let's do both wins, challenges, and just do a quick introduction of yourself, because we haven't had a chance to do that since everyone has been because we haven't really all been on the call together. So let's start with Lindsay. So introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business, and then any wins or challenges or both.
I'm Lindsay. I am a massage therapist, sound healer, Reiki master. I keep learning things and adding to what I do because, I don't know, maybe that's career ADHD or something. Honestly, everything has been a big win. I've been kind of integrating everything that I've been learning. I took the 3-day training in the spring, and everything has been showing up as far as successful. And so I've missed the last few weeks, but I'm excited to get into more of that in-depth knowledge. Everything's been a win. I've been adding questions in my stories and getting a lot of response where I haven't normally, and looking at more call to action in my caption. And that's been really good. That was it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was great.
Brains are great.
Lindsay also just finished like what seemed like a month in Italy. I think she was actually in Italy for 2 weeks, but in my time frame brain, I was like, you've been there for like a month.
So it was a while.
Oh, so jealous. Oh, okay. All right. So let's go to Catherine next. Catherine, tell us a little bit about your business, yourself, wins, challenges. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. And great job, Lindsay. That's great. Well, my name is Catherine Kane. I have a few things. I used to be a nurse, and then I transitioned to being a holistic health coach. And with that, I'm incorporating the network marketing company that I have that focuses on clean nutrition and skincare. And then also I do, I'm a Chi running instructor, which means Chi running and Chi walking that helps people with mobility, helping them to be more energy efficient and less injury prone to with their movements. And so my I don't know, my wins, I guess I think this course just helps me to just be more confident in putting myself out there. I did a live one time washing my face. I was like, oh my God. But I have to remember there are lots of people that go out there on Instagram and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm like, I think this is pretty mild. But so that was really good, being out there with no makeup on. But and then so I think that's one of my wins. I think my challenges have been getting on here live, during this time. And so I need to catch up on some of the trainings and work on, my lead magnet and all that. But yes, and also just being more consistent about posting and organizing my content pillars and all that. So I know what to post. So
Thanks for being here, Catherine.
thank you. Yeah,
thank you. I feel like all three of you entered. Well, I'm going to let Katie introduce herself, and then I'll say each of you should throw your Instagram handles into the chat, because I feel like energetically there's a lot that maybe the three of you could find to collaborate on in different ways, because you all do things that are kind of energy healing in a variety of ways. And even though you're in different places, you could still find ways to collaborate on social media. Anyway, so feel free to throw your handle in the chat so that you can connect with one another. And now, Katie, take it away. You got it? You want me to unmute you? Okay. Did it pop up? There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm outside, so I'm even more discombobulated. But yeah, you gave it away, Emily. I was like, oh my God. So I'm part her and I'm part her. So yes, I am an esthetician in Colorado. My name is Katie, and I also do Reiki healing. And but my thing really is, and Emily has helped me with this. I haven't told her this yet. Is like, what am I really doing? I'm not even really good at taking care of my own skin or my own health, so it can't be that. So, but my love is, I was actually going to be an herbalist first before I went into esthetician. So I fell in love with how plants heal us, and I think that's really where I'm going to focus more. So yeah, magic and the magic of plant healing is my thing. And my win is that I just popped on here because I'm just having an off day. I didn't even go in to the office today because I'm just feeling off. My kid started 6th grade today, and he let me oversleep, so I couldn't take a picture of him on his first day of 6th grade. So I'm pissed off about that. So and so yeah, I think Emily knows we're all here for a reason, so we'll make sure to connect too. Yeah.
Oh, those kids. In contrast to that, today is my husband's birthday, and my 5-year-old is so excited about birthdays that he somehow woke himself up an extra half hour earlier than he normally does, and came down here where I was working out and was like, "Mommy, can we get everything ready for Dad's birthday?" And my husband is like, "I don't really care about my birthday." I was like, "Well, you do now, because that's who cares." So you better get out of bed, because we have a whole bunch of stuff from the dollar store now sprinkled around the living room to celebrate. Oh man. I'm
cute.
so glad you're all here. Thank you each for taking a moment to introduce yourself. Katie, were you good?
Yeah, you can mute me again. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm so glad you're all here. So definitely connect with one another. Katie, when you have a chance, throw your handle into the chat, if you can do that from your phone. Yes, this is also one of my favorite parts about group trainings is the people, I will say, the other entrepreneurs I got to connect with when I did the group course I did last summer to launch this business, I still collaborate and do so much with quite a few of them. I think there were like 14 of us in there all together. And I still connect with and support so many of them in so many ways. So I'm so glad you're all here today. Okay, let me jump in to our content for today. So today we're going to talk about Canva. And, you know, you might be like, what the hell? I thought this was supposed to be about Instagram. Don't worry, it is. But Canva is definitely an external app platform that I really encourage you to use. There's lots of other options out there for creating carousels. There's lots of other options. I think Canva is the most intuitive. And so it's the one that I teach you. However, if there's a different one that you prefer, please use that. And you can take some of these ideas and concepts and apply it to whichever platform you're using. Canva is an app you can use for free, or you can pay for it. Now, it's truly not that expensive. I want to say it's $12, maybe $16 a month if you do it monthly. I think I just had my annual renewal and it was like $119 for the year. But you get access to so many more images and tools and templates when you are a paying user, when you have Canva Pro. So definitely don't do that if it's not in your budget right now, but definitely have it on your radar for when it is, because it is a great investment to use in tandem, not just for Instagram, but also for email and creating different things that we're going to talk about today. So why would you use Canva? The first piece is you can really start to create some brand consistency visually. Now, that being said, a visual aesthetic 2-3 years ago on Instagram would have meant that when I look at the grid of all your posts, that they are perfectly curated. That's not the case anymore. You don't need to do that. You certainly can, but it's not necessary to have a successful growing Instagram profile. What I mean by visual aesthetic is like the colors and the like elements or background images, the fonts, those become recognizable so that while someone is scrolling, if they come across a post of yours in the scroll, they visually can recognize maybe your face, maybe they hear your voice, but they are seeing something that helps them to visually remember it's you. There's another component here, I'll say for me, content creation can become easier because you have templates and previous work that you've done that is accessible inside Canva so that you don't have to recreate everything from scratch over and over again. And then it also expands your options for content. So whatever week that was, a few weeks ago, that we talked about the different types of content you can post. You know, Reels are still the best way to bring your cold market for your cold market to find you. And by this, we mean like, what am I talking about? Calling myself we. Oh my God. Lindsay was like, I'm having trouble with English today. Me too, obviously. By this, I mean that Reels are the best way to bring your audience to you that hasn't landed on your profile and started following you yet. But that doesn't mean that Reels are the only form of content that you have to use or should use. It's great, like we talked about in that training, to incorporate carousels, still images, infographics, going live. Variety is the spice of life. And it's also really great to incorporate into what you're doing to grow your business on Instagram. And you can start to incorporate some of that with what you're creating in Canva. Okay. And please know if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can throw it in the chat. So today I want to walk you through some things how to set up your brand colors, fonts, logos, where that is. That is part of the paid portion of Canva, but I want to show you where it is. Carousel posts, where to find templates for those, how to start, how to edit them, some like basic things to keep in mind as you're creating those. Lead magnets, there are templates in here for lead magnets. So I want to show you where those are. How to put your own photos in there, how to use the background remover. And then you can create reels in Canva, which I have never done because I just like to keep things simple and I just do it in Instagram, but I want to show you where it is in case that's something you want to play around with. Now, the other caveat I'll give to this is I do most of my creating in Canva on my desktop, but I have the Canva app on my phone, and I usually, say I create a carousel post, I will create it on my desktop and then I open the app on my phone and download it to my camera roll there to put it into Instagram. So I'm definitely using them, I'm using both, but I don't usually create on my phone in Canva because it's just a little bit harder. I can't be as precise. Yes. So Katie said, oh, so exciting. Katie also worked with Laura, who's going to be our guest speaker next week from Wild Cabin Studio. And once you are following Katie and you can kind of see her branding, as did I worked with Laura as well on my branding. So I'm just so excited for all of you to get to meet Laura next week. It's going to be incredible. Oh, okay. Just the happiness it brings me to connect. Okay. All right. Let's start with brand colors, fonts, and logos. So I'm going to change my screen share and take you into Canva. All right. So you just go to canva.com and you can create a free account. Okay. So you don't have to start paying. Do you all use Canva? I know Katie does. Lindsay does. Okay, great. So I guess then let me ask, how well versed do you all feel with Canva? Feel free. Okay, so Lindsay's like kind of, same for Catherine. Okay. So if at any point you're like, this is so rudimentary, like, can you just tell me if I'm covering something that everyone already feels great about? Okay. So the first thing, you probably already know this, anytime you see this crown, that means it's a paid portion of the website. So I want to take you into the brand hub, which again, you pay for, but it's worth it. So when you're ready to take that step, this is what you get. So the nice thing about the brand kit is you can put all of your, remove my images here. Okay. You can dump in all of your like brand stuff into one place. So it's easily accessible when you're creating in Canva. So you would come into the brand kit, you would click add new, you would name your brand kit, whatever it is. So we're just going to call it template kit for now. And then if you are like myself and Katie, and if you have worked with a brand designer before, you maybe have a file on your desktop of all the logos and the images and the branding they created for you. So you would just drop all of those logos in here. They gave you a color palette. You probably have the hex code for all of those colors. You can either copy and paste the hex code here and add it that way, which I guess is the easiest way. You would like just go find whoever creates your brand for you will give you those hex codes and you can copy and paste them in here. And then you can add as many of your colors as you want. And then fonts. So you can add, this has expanded exponentially since I set up my brand kit. So I need to go in and update my brand kit, but you have lots of options for which fonts you're using. I will say when Laura set up my brand kit, my brand, I have 4 fonts that she put into my branding. So I would just put each of those into here. And there's like one that I really use for titles, different things to keep in mind. I will say whatever, if you are not at a place where you can pay someone to create branding for you, don't worry. We all start there. Me too. I was there too. You can pick your own, like you can do all this on your own, of course. For when it comes to the text that you're going to use, the fonts, make sure that you can read it. Make sure that it's not too fancy. So like I have one fancy font that's a part of my brand and I hardly ever use it because it's cursive and it's not necessarily something everyone can read when I'm using it on social media. I use it in some places on my website and in my brand logo, but otherwise I don't really use it in many places. So you want to make sure that the fonts you're using when you're in Canva are fonts people can read. Like, pretend your eyes are that of a 90-year-old who has like a high prescription. Would they be able to read it? Is it too close together? Is it too fancy? Is it too thin, right? Keep those things in mind. You can also in your brand kit put photos in. So maybe you have headshots or brand photos that you got taken. You can dump those in, graphics, icons. There's so much you can dump into your brand kit. Now, what makes this so great, the brand kit piece, is then if I go back to the home page, and let's say I'm going to create an Instagram post. So I click on it. And I want to start by giving it a background color that is a branded color of mine. First of all, the toolbar over here gives you lots of options. So the toolbar on the left-hand side, there's lots of options. But let's say I click on it and I want a background color that matches my brand. So I highlight the whole thing. I get the square wheel. You know what I mean? Oh, the square color options. And then once you've set up your brand palette, your colors show up right here all the time, which is so nice because then you can easily access them every time you're creating. And then, you can do whatever you want. You can also come over here into this brand hub where it just says brand and say that I wanted the background to be one of my logos. I could, look through here and find I put all of my branding images in with my logos because like I said, they've expanded it since I updated mine. So I have all my images in there. But I also have added some graphics that as I have like kind of expanded on my brand imaging. So I could come back over here and just hit delete to get that color out of there and say I want this as my background, this image. I can just drag it over until it basically takes over the background of the page. Or I could click on it and then right click and set the image as the background. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate your brand kit once it's set up. And, I'm going to show you quite a few things today as we go through Canva, but my best recommendation is to play around in there and know that you're going to mess up and be frustrated trying to figure it out, but eventually you will figure it out. And then, it's just like anything else, right? Like anything else. Once you get used to it. Yeah. Although I will say professionally, I never got used to seeing people bleed. When I was an athletic trainer, I would always still pass out. So there's some things you don't get used to. I told my son the story the other day of how I tried to watch an open heart surgery after I did a rotation with a cardiologist. And literally all I did was watch them do the iodine on the chest and I passed out. He was like, did you see blood? I was like, no, mommy didn't see any blood. Just saw they were prepping the man and I was down. Okay. So, all right, let's come back to, what am I saying? Let's get back to where we were. This is why it's so fun when you're on live with me because I can just be myself. Okay. All right. So again, the best thing about the brand kit is that it just makes everything accessible while you're creating. So you don't have to like go back and forth, find it here. Is it there? Where is it? I mean, honestly, it's worth the money that you pay just for that piece, like the time that you will save having it all in one place. Okay. The next thing is carousel posts. So I want to remind you that carousels are a great educational tool to add further brand authority and awareness, obviously to educate your audience in the content you're creating. You can always so sometimes I will take a reel that performed well and take the caption and some of the content from the reel and just turn it into a carousel post. Like I'm basically taking the caption and copying and pasting it, maybe shortening it a little. into a carousel post. So there's a lot of ways you can use it, but I want to show you where the templates are. And then I want to give you some guideposts for creating carousels. Okay. The other great thing about carousels, again, I know we touched on this when we talked about content types, but it increases the engagement time that someone spends on that post because it takes them longer to consume the information. So as long as the first part of your carousel, the first image, is a hook that captures their attention, they're going to stop their scroll and then they're going to be swiping over to read the rest. So like your first image in a carousel post should be scroll stopping. And then the second one should keep them hanging on with maybe a bit more. You're like extending the excitement or the intrigue. And then as they scroll, you can give more detail. And you want to make sure that the detail you're giving intrigues them to continue scrolling. And then the last carousel image should be a call to action always. So let's go back into Canva and I will show you, I'll give you some of these suggestions. So, the other thing you can do when you have Canva Pro is you can resize images as many times as you want. So you can create something as like a square post here, and then maybe resize it to a story size so that you don't have to recreate the whole thing, but you can't do that if you're not paying for it. And I will say that also is a really great tool when I am creating content so that I can just resize it. Or maybe I just want to resize it in general. Like I don't need to recreate it in a different size. I just need it to be a different size. You can do all of that. Okay, so let's go back to the homepage and let me pull up some carousel. Okay, so let's start with this one. This one is an infographic. So when I post this one, this is updated from an infographic I did, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago. So I have been updating this one and I'm going to post it again. There's a few things that you should make sure to have on your carousel posts, especially if you're doing a standalone image like this one. You want to make sure your Instagram handle is on there. That way, if somebody say they screenshot it and they share it with someone, your handle is on there so somebody can navigate back to your Instagram page. There's a call to action, save this for later. And then, excuse me, this says follow for more tips, which is another call to action. And when you see this in my feed, this arrow is pointing to my profile picture, because that's where the profile picture would be. Now, if you're going to do an infographic, something like this, you don't want too much wording on the infographic. You don't want it packed full of information to where somebody's not going to read it. You want it bite-sized information, but you really want to create infographics that people are going to save. So you want it to be information that's helpful, useful, right? So like Lindsay, you could do something about, I don't know, like four stretches to do before going to bed every night, so that you don't wake up with like sore hips or tight hips or something like that, right? Like keep it simple, and then you put basic detail, and then you can say something like, DM me stretch to get all the detail about how to do these stretches. And then you have a lead magnet that can go out to them, and maybe it's a video of you doing each of the stretches that you detailed out in this infographic. And you have it all set up so that when they DM you that word, there's an automated message that goes back to them that gives them a link to that form to opt in, to get that lead magnet. Now they're on your email list. Does that make sense? I know that's kind of a cascade of events, but you see how you can really use this to your benefit to hook them with like, oh yeah, I always have a sore back, or I always have really tight hips when I wake up in the morning. I need this. And then they read it and they're like, oh, this sounds great, but like, I need more information. And you have it right there. You're like, DM me for, a quick video tutorial about how to do these stretches right before bed. Catherine, you could do something similar when you're talking about how to run more efficiently, right? Like the chi of running and walking, like it could be the same. Here are 5 things to keep in mind so that you can optimize, your kinesthetic awareness, whatever. And then you can have a lead magnet set up. So it could say, DM me for a video tutorial of how to incorporate this into your walking every day, or how to like know your body isn't, you know what I'm saying? So like, keep it simple. Do not put so much wording on an infographic that people that it's like too busy. This one was supposed to just be informative and getting people to save it. And also to follow me, right? So keeping it, I want them to follow me. I want them to come back for more tips. And I also want them to see that I know what I'm talking about, that I have valuable information to share. And that is explaining the difference between what people really struggle to understand, which is what the hell are the difference between feed posts and stories. So the other thing I want you to notice about this infographic is it is not a square. It is a rectangle. When you are creating carousel posts or infographics, you will take up more real estate on the screen if you make it bigger than a square. So my recommendation is, see, what's the size of this? Is that your design size should be 1080 by 1380 pixels. So when you're creating carousels, when you're creating infographics like this, 1080 by 1380, the square is 1080 by 1080. It just takes up more real estate on the screen when they're scrolling. So they're more likely to, visually, they're seeing it for longer. It's just like simple things like this that can make a difference as to whether or not they hang out on the post for longer. Okay, so 1080 by 1380 or 1350, but I do 1380 and that works fine. Nothing gets cut off. Okay, any questions about the infographics? Feel good. Okay. Now let me show you. Now, all that being said with the sizing, if you want to start your design for a carousel post with the templates that are in Canva, you want to start with a basic square post because there are more templates available to you in the square post size, and then you can resize it. So that's where like the Canva Pro, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So here we go. So I am in this square size, right? And I'm going to come over here to the left-hand bar where it says design. Then I'm going to type in Instagram carousel posts. And you are going to get a lot of templates. And probably as you look through them, you're like, oh, I've seen that template before. I saw somebody post that. The colors were different, or maybe they had an image, but you have a lot of template options here. You can keep it simple. And once you pick one, you can incorporate your brand images. As you hover over it, it'll tell you this is one of 5. So there are 5 slides in this carousel. Some of these are only available in Canva Pro, but a lot of them are available with the free account. So you would find one that you feel like fits you and will fit your brand aesthetic. Now, there's nothing wrong with kind of playing around with a few of these, a variety of options and finding which one feels best for your brand. I wouldn't recommend picking a different one every time. So this is where it can be really helpful that you find 1 or 2 that you really like, and maybe you recycle those with your posts. So you can kind of see as we look through mine, this is what I have landed on recently, this one that says trending audios. And so I will just click on these 3 dots and I will make a copy of this, and then I edit the copy. Like that's just how I create my carousels now. So then I can change, like, here's another one. I've been working on a lot of different things, right? So like this is the same template. I just, edited. Again, same template. I just changed some of the features, the colors, right? Same here. So same here. So once you find a design you like, you can stick with it. You can always switch it up, but you also want to keep some like visual brand recognition for at least a period of time. So let's say you wanted to use let's go with this one, how to start self-care. It doesn't matter what is on this. It doesn't matter what's on those, but that's okay. So there's 5 pages. So I'm going to click apply all 5 pages. So now it has created, there's, 5 pages here that I can turn into a carousel. You can delete anything on here. You can add your own stuff in, right? You can spice it up to be yours. You can come over here into your brand hub and click on your color palette, and it will start to incorporate your color palette if you want. And then you can apply it to all the pages so that it pulls your brand colors in. And you can always hit it again, shuffle. You can like do it individually if you want. Like you could click on here and pick the brand color you want individually, or you can just keep shuffling until you like the way that the auto shuffle pulls your colors together for you. So my recommendation right now, so a lot of these templates are going to have your hook on the first slide and then jump right in to the tips, the information that you're offering. My recommendation is that your first 2 slides are hooks. So the first one is your hook and the second one is kind of a lingering hook. They don't all have to be like this. So let me show you one. Let me think of where it is. Hold on. I should have had this pulled up and ready, but content is boring. Is that one? No. Okay, so like, let's look at this one, for example. This one is only 2 slides. What's better than creating viral content? So again, it's got follow me for more tips, got my Instagram handle. And then the second slide is creating curiosity. See the caption. I want to get people into the caption because that's where I'm going to give the meat of information. So that's their call to action, go to the caption. And that's where I'm going to do like a more focused call to action for them to whatever it is. Get sign up for my free course, download this lead magnet, DM me this word. Okay, so that's an example of a carousel. There was another one though I wanted to show you. Let me can't remember which one it was. So let's just, it was trending audios. Yeah, is this one. Okay. So again, there's a hook on the first. You can add arrows in so that they know, like keep swiping. And then the second one is telling them, here's what your Instagram content strategy should include. And then the last one is a call to action, getting them to, take the next step a little, These can look however you want. I have taken inspiration for how I create mine from what other people have put out there that I liked. So I'm still incorporating my brand elements, but also on this last page where I'm doing a call to action, I like to include a picture of myself because you're going to be working with me. And you probably know that from looking at my page, but I like to have a picture as recognition. It's just like that continual visual recognition. And I can share. Do you guys want me to share any of these as template links in the portal? Would that be helpful? Yeah. Okay. Catherine said, okay. I'll share a link to some of these. So you have these as templates and you can incorporate all your own brand stuff, right? Like all of my, so let's just use this one, for example. So say I wanted to change the font. So this is one of my main fonts and I like it because I can bold it. I can make it thin. I can make it italic. I can, right, anyway, I can do a lot to it. But let's say I wanted to change it to a different font from my brand palette. I could click on that. And then it gives me the option right here to change. So everywhere in the carousel, everywhere that font has been chosen, I can choose to change it all. So then it changes everything. I don't have to go through and do it piece by piece. So that's something else that you can do, which is really helpful as you're changing like colors. So say I'm going to undo that. Say I wanted to change the colors. I didn't want it to, say I had made a copy of this so I could create a different carousel. I could come up here to where it's purple for the background color, and I could change it to one of the other colors I use. And then I have the option here to change all. So then it changes everywhere that color shows up. So again, it's just really nice to have the brand imaging there that you can easily access while you're editing. Okay, so same thing here. There's so much that you can do. Like you can absolutely use this as a basic template. You could move this down here and have it be your handle. You could leave it up here and say something like holistic health coach, so that when someone lands on your carousel, they know what you do, because maybe they haven't seen your profile yet, but it says holistic health coach, or it says Reiki master, or whatever you want to highlight with, I put in the corner of mine Instagram growth coach. You can pick or choose, and you don't have to do that, right? So like the people that have similar businesses to yours, you can always go look at their carousels and get an idea of, start to get an idea of maybe how you want to design your own carousels. So let's say you had used this template and you had personalized this whole thing, but now you want it to be that 1080 by 1380 size. You can come up to this resize option. And you can click copy and resize. So it would make a copy of it in the new size, or you can just resize this one. So I would just resize this one. And then it throws some of the imaging off because it's made it a new size. So then you can adjust. So one way that I like to do that is I'll just take my pointer, drag it to include everything that's on the screen. And then I can just get it back to the size that I want in the middle. Just some simple stylistic things that you can work on. There is, when you're moving stuff around in Canva, you'll see there's like a square. I try and keep things within that square, or rectangle, the box, so that nothing, for the most part, I try and keep things in that box, because that's visually where our eyes will go. And that way nothing is, it's less likely to get cut off after I've posted it. It's not in the margins. Okay. Any questions about the carousel posts and how to kind of play around with all this? There are definitely carousel post templates for this size, the 1080 by 1380. So if I have this size chosen for what I'm working on, there are options. There's just not as many. Although, I don't know, looks like they've actually updated it recently. There's more in here than there have been before. So you could just start by creating. So then let's do that. So say you're at the home page and you're like, okay, I want to create a carousel post and I want it to be 1080 by 1380. You would come up here to create a design. And then you'd come down to custom size and then type in 1080 by 1380. And you want to make sure it's pixels and then create new design. Okay.
Is there any cap on you should post 5 or keep it to 3 or post the 10 that they allow you to post as far as pages?
I love that question. It depends on whether or not the content that you're putting on the carousel post is intriguing enough to keep them scrolling. So you'll get to the point where eventually if you're not already there, where you're good at creating cliffhangers in the content to keep people scrolling. Whether it's cliffhangers or they know like, oh, I'm going to get more information in the next slide because there's an arrow and like whatever was mentioned in the beginning, there's not, the information isn't complete yet. So you'll know, you'll figure it out. But no, there's no right or wrong way, whether it's 2 or 10 or 5, there's there's no perfect recipe for how many. It just depends on whether or not the content will keep them engaged. Yeah. It is helpful, sometimes you could break it down into, and I would say this is kind of where carousels started and they've evolved, and there's a lot of different ways you can use carousels now, where it would be like 5 tips to do blah, blah, blah. And then you swipe and each slide is number 1, number 2, number 3. You can still do those. Those are still great. That's definitely how they really first evolved for Instagram. And again, now you can even take a caption from a previous post and turn it into a carousel. But again, if you're doing that, I caution you, you don't want to have too much wording on each slide. And you want it to be enough that it's intriguing enough for them to keep swiping. So, I honestly, it all makes me think back to, I've had a lot of different career paths, and I started college as a journalism major. And I did that for 2 years. So I always think back to like, when you are writing magazine articles, newspaper article, whatever you're writing for, or if you're a news anchor, like whatever it is, you have to hook your audience. You have to keep them intrigued. And then you have to think about yourself and what is it? I mean, this is why tabloids always sell, because they have really honed in on how to write the hook that gets you to pick up that damn magazine and to turn to page 45. And then you're like, I want to read more because this headline has got me intrigued. So you just kind of have to think about things in a similar way. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, negative headlines usually hook people more than positive headlines. So like, and that can work in your favor when you realize that and you're creating content. What are the pain points I can pull out with the hook I'm creating? Like, what can I bring up that's a pain point? Like I'm working on one of my posts for this week. One of my reels is going to be, these are the mistakes you're making on Instagram. That pulls out, that's a negative thing, right? I'm not going to be like, here are the best things you're doing right now, because I mean, I do that too, but that's going to pull out, that's emotion evoking, like, oh my God, what mistakes am I making? So keep that stuff in mind as you're creating hooks, and use that kind of mentality to your advantage, because that's just how our brains work. It's always funny to me when people are like, oh, I was so baited by the headline of this article. I'm like, because that's how our brains work. I mean, you could be mad at the journalist for writing it that way, but like, that's how your brain works. Okay. So it's just the psychology of it. Okay. Lead magnets. What am I doing here? I know we have about 10 minutes left. So lead magnets. We've talked about this. These are a free resource for your ideal client audience that allows you to collect their contact information. Do you all have an email service provider set up at this point that also allows you to create an opt-in form to put it? Okay, no. Ooh. Katie, have you done that yet? Okay, you got that. Lindsay said no. Catherine, do you have that set up? Okay. Ooh, ladies.
I know. I do have an account with ConvertKit.
Okay.
But I know.
It's
you have
okay.
an opinion about that.
There's no shame.
Okay.
There's no shame here. I have not used ConvertKit, but I have heard that it is not difficult to use. So that sounds like a good option. I started my business with Flowdesk, which I love. And I have a 50% off link for Flowdesk if any of you want it. I think it's much easier to use than MailChimp. personally. Yeah. So, and I think the 50% off link gets you like a 14-day free trial. And then it's like $15 or $16 a month after that. And it's unlimited emails. And there's also a checkout option, which is more, would cost more. It would probably cost you more, like $30 a month in total. But if you need that as an option where people can check out and purchase your services, that is there through Flowdesk. And that's how I started my business. I used Flowdesk and it was great. So let's go back into Canva. And let me just show you, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with how to create a lead magnet until you have a way to exchange information set up. So I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you where some templates are. So I would go to document, the document size, the A4 portrait. So document size, we're going to click on that to create a blank document. And then it doesn't have to be document size. It doesn't have to be like the size of a piece of paper, but this is a great place to start. If you are like, I don't even know what the hell to do for a lead magnet, you can start by creating some sort of checklist, step-by-step how-to, some sort of document. So as we did with carousels, we're going to come over to the design section and we're going to type in lead magnet, document, Canva lead magnet. Let's just go to lead magnet and see what we get. There's lots of options that you can work through. Again, if it has the little crown, that means it's a pro option. So you have to be paying for it. Some of them are single page, like this one is a handbook, 1 out of 15 pages. I don't know that I would recommend a handbook as a free, like that's a lot of information, a lot of time you'd be putting in, but like a quick checklist. So maybe you want to get more specific. Maybe you're like lead magnet checklist. Okay. So then, okay, this one has 5 pages. It doesn't really look like a checklist to me. What about this one? 1 of 11. Nope. Where the hell is the checklist? Did I ask it for a checklist? So just because it has 7 pages doesn't mean you would use all of them. You can always delete, but you would essentially do the same thing with a lead magnet template as you would with the carousel template. You would apply all 7 pages and then you can go through and make whatever changes necessary to the font, to the colors, obviously to the content. Something that is really helpful with especially lead magnets. So let's say let's say right here, you have your website. Okay, so this is the last page. You want to have your contact information. You want a call to action. You can sprinkle call to actions throughout the lead magnet, depending on how long it is, what you're offering. But your website is here. And a lot of times people will view your lead magnet on their computer, right? Like I would say most people don't print out documents anymore on a regular basis. It's not like the first thing they do. They'll consume it on their computer. So you can actually add a hyperlink here. So once I have, I've selected the website area, and I guess it's grouped. So let me ungroup it. So I click on where the website is. Now I'm going to click on these 3 dots that come up that say more. And then you have the option, there's a link. You can put your website link right there so that while they are consuming the lead magnet on their computer, if they actually click where your link is, it will pull up, it will navigate to your link, to your website. You can do the same thing with, I don't know why would you have your phone number on here? Say you have your Instagram handle here, same thing. You would click on it. You would click on those 3 dots that say more, and you would add the direct link to your Instagram page. You would add the direct link to another freebie. Say that you have one freebie that pairs well with another freebie. So you could have it lead them to opt into the next freebie. I love that you can add those links in. Of course, if they print it out, the link doesn't work, right? But if they're using it on their desktop and they hover over that area, it will light up and they can click on it and it will take them to wherever you have hyperlinked it to. Okay. I know that was really brief about lead magnets, but again, I want you to know that you can create them in there, carousels, lead magnets. And I want you to get in there and play around. You can also upload your own photos. I think what I'll do, since I know we're almost at time, I'll just record a quick addition to this and put it in the portal to show you about how to use the background remover and how to download transparent background images. I'll do an extra recording and pop that in there so that I can respect everybody's time for today, since I didn't get to that part. Wait, I didn't know you could create a document for email. You mean like the lead magnet, Lindsay? Yeah. Okay. I love it. Oh, yay. Good. So I will create this. I'll do this and upload that today.
Learning something new every day.
That's good. That makes me happy. That means I'm not just giving you redundant information. Your homework is, you all already have a Canva account, so yay. Your homework is start creating some carousel posts. I will post the template links to some of mine if you want to use some of those, or you can go in and play around. And then also start to like play around with the lead magnet options. Now, the other quick reminder, well, I guess any questions? Look at me, I get so excited. Any questions? You can always email me with questions later if they come up. Next week, again, Laura will be with us on how to make your brand speak for you. So if you have any specific questions about what that looks like, send them to me. What the heck was I just going to say to wrap things up? Oh, as a part of your purchase for this course, you get a 1-hour Zoom call with me. And we use that time for whatever you want. I always recommend that you wait until at least the back half of our time together, because a lot of times people have questions about some of the things we've talked about. But just know when you're ready to, I will include the link to book that call with me in the wrap-up email today. So if you are ready to book it to talk now or in 3 weeks from now, feel free to go ahead and get yourself on my calendar. The last thing I want to say today before I let you go is I have a bundle available right now. And normally, because you've purchased a course from me, I give you first dibs at a discount, but I released it to everyone at more than 50% off. So I want you to know that if you want more of a detailed profile audit from me, if you want an extra 30-minute session on Zoom with me, if you want a lead magnet template that is like ready for you to use, and you want access to the course that I'm launching in September, Stories That Sell. Literally, the Stories That Sell course is self-paced, but it gives you a detailed description of what to post in your stories for 30 straight days, a video to describe what to do in your stories so that you start to make sales. When that course launches in September, it's going to be $300 on its own. And that's something you can access at any time. Right now, that whole bundle is only $215, and it's only good until the end of this week, till the 19th. So you can get all of that and extra. So you guys already get a 1-hour session with me, but you would get another 30-minute session. You could use it anytime, a detailed, individualized Instagram profile audit, the lead magnet template, and that Stories That Sell course when it launches in September. So I will include the link for that as well in the wrap-up email. And just know from here moving forward, because you've purchased this course, you'll always get VIP discounts to anything that I offer in the future. This one was just, I just did like a back to school. Everybody gets access to this incredible discount. So, okay, any last questions? I know I'm a little over. Thanks for your patience. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. It's so fun to have 3 of you on live. So fun. Okay, go enjoy your day. Connect with each other on Instagram. Make sure to check your email and all the things. And we'll see you here next week with Laura. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Emily.